Hi, I'm Josh Oliver from Zenatta Consulting. In today's tutorial, I'm going to do a deep dive into advanced HTML pages in Zoho Creator. Before we get started, hit that like button and smash that notification bell. In this video, we're going to cover creating an HTML snippet on a page, how to embed reports and forms. We're going to combine Deluge with HTML, and then also we're going to talk about adding page parameters to the page that you can use within your HTML, how to style that HTML with CSS, and then last we'll talk about some tips and tricks for managing your HTML. Let's get right on into it. So to start, we need a creator app with a blank page, and I've already created a page here. It's just a page v2.0. There's nothing on this page, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to open up the editor in a new tab and open up the page builder. We're going to add a snippet, and you have a few different options. You can do ZML, HTML, or Embed. In this tutorial, we're going to stick with HTML. When we create an HTML element, there are a few little tags here that are needed for every HTML page. And what I usually do to start is kind of separate these parts of it, because this is a good indicator of where the Deluge starts and then when HTML starts. HTML and Deluge is certainly possible within a page, and you just have to separate your code using these tags. So in this part up here, this is Deluge, and here is HTML. The first thing I want to cover is how to embed elements into your page. So I'm in a creator app and I want to embed, let's say, a form from one of my modules. All I have to do is click and drag this form box here into the page, and it's going to pre-populate it with some key parameters needed. So we need to know the L name equals ZC component. This has to be here for any Zoho Creator components, both form and reports. And then also we need the form link name. Form link name is found inside of the page builder. So if I go, let's say I want to embed the task form. So this is a form I have, and you can grab the API name from the URL. And so now in this example, we're going to show an embedded form of the task form, the embedded task form. When I save this, open, and then refresh, you'll see on our page, now we have that form embedded. You can see some parameters are also pre-populated here. These are style-based URL parameters. And there's a whole article on how to find what parameters are available within Creator, and I'll go over that in the last half or in the later part of this video. Some hints is you can show or hide headers, change the success message, submit value. Maybe you want to change the button to read something else, and same with the reset. Generally, I just kind of start blank and leave those empty. Parameters don't have to be style-based. They could also be functional, meaning maybe you want to pre-populate a value inside of the form. Let's say status needs to be a different value. So you could say status equals closed. Let's see, is that an option? Yeah, closed. The value or the key needs to be the API name of that field. So I'll usually just come in here, click on the field, and grab the link name. Now, whenever I save and reload this, we'll see the status is closed in this case. So that's how we can embed forms. We can also embed reports. So let's say I want to embed a report similar of that same, off that same module. We have a report in here called alt. Let's do my open tasks. So I have my open task. I'm just going to grab that API or that link name and put that where the view link name field is. ZC header is true. Sure. we'll go ahead and keep that true. But params can also be used to add additional filters within that report. So maybe not only do you want to see, maybe I chose all tasks and then I put in the filters within the parameters. You could do that as well. So now when I refresh my page, I can see all my open tasks, which I don't have any right here, but certainly if I did, then you would be able to see them here. One tip I have is, and it's not documented really anywhere, but let's say you have another application within Creator and you want to reference a report from that other app. So for my case, I have another app called Portal, and I want to bring in the milestones from that application. To do that, the trick is to add another parameter here, and it's called app link name. If you add app link name, and I know the app link name is Portal, and then the report I want to bring over is called all milestones. And then let's say I also want to put in parameters here to filter this. So I don't care about this style-based parameter, but let's say I want to do developer oversight is true and status is open. Now I can go back. What's cool is this report does not exist anywhere in this application. It's actually in a totally separate Creator app that I have. But using this parameter, we can pull in that app report into this app here. So now I can refresh my page and we can see all milestones. And this is, again, a report in another application. You can do the same thing with forms. So let's say I want to show a form from that other Portal app. And let's say I want the status to be marked as open. So I can go ahead and click save there, refresh my page, and this is going to show two elements. I'm going to have a form, and then below I'm going to have a report. Oh, you know what? I didn't end the div. I have to end the div here. There we go. So now when I come over here and refresh, we will see a form and then a report. Within this form, there's also a subform, so don't be confused by that. But let me show you. If I add a milestone here, so this is YouTube tutorials, developer oversight is needed. I click submit. Oh, application, let's say Creator. Now if I scroll down, there we go. We can see that record shows up inside of this report because it matches the parameters, that filter parameters that I added within the embed. And so you can see we have two different elements embedded on this page. One is a form and then one is a report. Now the reason why you might want to embed these elements directly within an HTML page is you might want to style these separately. And so we can style these using CSS. There's two different ways. You could either put in the style directly here. So you just style equals, and then this is just some inline style tags, and then basically you just use CSS commands to style this. So maybe you say width colon 500 pixels. Now when I save this, we'll see this top form will get shrunken down to 500 pixels. There we go. So now I have it shrunken down, and let's say I also want to do margin auto. And that should center the div. There we go. So we can either do it inline inside of the div directly, or we can put the style outside of the div and give this a class name. So let's say this is going to be class equals form embed. Now I can take these elements here, so dot form embed, and then you do some squiggly brackets, And then I can bring these elements into here. And this is a little bit more organized as far as controlling the style in the CSS. Now it's kind of outside within its own style brackets, as long as you match the class name with the function above. Now we can basically have that same outcome, just formatted a little bit differently. So there we go. Certainly, styling can also be done to reports as well. So I could simply just copy this same class, and now instead of it being so wide, when I refresh, you will see it get shrunken. So there you go. CSS is certainly the kind of the key feature for making these HTML pages pretty. And this is essentially how you do it. You use the style tags, so with some class names, and then just throw in your CSS through here. Now, one thing I haven't talked about yet is how can we include Deluge and modify the HTML with Deluge. So Deluge can also be used in here, certainly. And let's say I want, let me give you an example. Let's say we have tasks within our application, and we want to surface data from those tasks. So we have records with data, and we want to surface that data within a HTML page. Maybe we don't want to use the embedded elements, and we want to build this all directly through HTML. So an example of that is we have a task list inside of this application where task list equals task sample, and I want to show anything that's not closed. And then we're going to say if task list.count is greater than 0, then I want to see, so I'm going to pull in the HTML into the brackets here. So now the HTML is only going to show if task list.count is greater than 0. And I want to basically see you have open tasks. And if I don't have any tasks, then it's not going to show that. Now I got rid of my other div blocks, so I'm only going to see this, and you can see you have open tasks. Now let's say I want to customize this further to include merge tags or an actual value, a variable from Deluge. So task list.count is an example. Let's say I want to see how many tasks I have open. You have how many open tasks. So to do that, we include a similar tag, and you basically do it like this. So here, this is the key to make that work. It's the reverse. So to show the HTML, you're going to do percentage and then caret to the left. And then if you want to show Deluge, you're going to do the opposite of that. So it's caret to the right, percent equals is going to show a variable from above. And then you just end that with percent caret to the left. Now when I refresh my page, we can see you have 3 open tasks. So that's certainly an easy example there. What if I wanted to replace this if statement with the for each statement and say, let's say for each task in task list, I want to see the subject field. So I'm going to get rid of this. And I just want to see the subject. So for each task that's open, I want to actually see the task subjects. There they are. So we have, let's remove this HTML because that's kind of bugging it out. There we go. So we have this one, and this one. That's 3 tasks. But it's not formatted pretty. So let's format it a little bit using additional HTML. And I want to put these in bullets. So again, I want to start the HTML above the list, put in this UL tag, and that starts a bullet list. And then I want to end with that same, but we're going to end the UL. So to end it, you just do /UL. So that ends the bullet. So we start with the bullet and then we end with the bullet. When I refresh on my page here, you can see it starts to build. It did indent it, but we don't have bullets in here yet. So this is a list, but with no bullets. And to add a bullet, I'm just going to come in here and it's the LI tag. Google's going to be your best friend when it comes to CSS commands. And if you search how to create a bulleted list in CSS or in HTML, you will find the LI and the UL tags. And so now we have a formatted list with our bullets representing task subject names. And so in this example, you can see we have Deluge above. We do Deluge to grab the task list. We end the Deluge and we start HTML to initiate the list. We go back into Deluge for the for each, and then we go back into HTML to create a bullet for each. And then last, we end that with an HTML tag to end the list. That's that example. And then certainly you can kind of see how we can customize this further. Maybe we want to change this into a link. So for each bullet, maybe we want to put an A tag and we do a reference to a link. So href equals URL. And then we want to end this with that same A. So maybe our href is going to be a link to this task. Now to build out a task URL, there's a few ways to do that. And I usually just Google it on the back end and I say Zoho Creator. Actually, this one I know. The easiest way to get a URL is you go into our task. So all tasks, let's open up one of these tasks, go to print. This is the URL I want to surface. So that's the URL. Instead of record print, I want to do record summary. All tasks, and I want to replace this ID with the actual task ID. So let's just copy this tag here, put that here, and then change that to ID. Now when I save this, go back into our page, you can see these are all links. If I click one of them, there we go. That's the record right there with a record template. So you can kind of see how it takes a lot of development to build this out, but you have ultimate control over the page and how you surface information and the UI with diving into more details with that information as well. Next, I'm going to talk about how to incorporate page parameters. So a page parameter is a URL parameter we can add, and maybe we want to add a parameter above here that says deal equals, and I want to only see the records that relate to a particular deal. Because in my tasks, each one of these tasks are linked to a deal, and I want this deal, I want to basically throw in a page parameter to only see those records associated to that deal. To add a page parameter, we're going to go into the settings, add parameter, and then deal. It's going to be my parameter that I'm going to use. I could also add another parameter in here for maybe status. And then inside of my HTML block, I could either use this same example where maybe instead of hard coding the status is not closed, I could say status equals, and then input.status. The input dot is going to actually reference the parameter. So I've refreshed my page. You can see there is no task showing because I haven't given it a status. But whenever I put status up here equals open, now you can see those parameters, you can see those related records. Let's say closed. There we go. Additionally, we can add additional URL parameters here. So deal equals, and let's grab the deal ID for one of these. So I'm just going to copy this, go into another page, copy link address. So the deal ID in this case is that. It looks like these are all related. No, there should just be one record. Oh, but you know, in my HTML, I haven't included that within my parameters when I'm searching for tasks. So I say and deal equals input dot deal. The values here need to represent or need to match what is on the task. So I'm just going to confirm real quick. What the link name is for this field. Yep, deal. So deal is input.deal. Now when I go back here, refresh, we have one task. And then whenever I remove that, I can see the ones that aren't associated to deals. So the power of this is now we can throw in parameters into our page using the URL of the page, and those parameters can control the data being displayed. Let's also go over some more styling. So inside of this page, let's say on my report, I'm going to embed a report again. So I'm going to remove this Deluge. Let's get rid of the Deluge, get rid of this. So we're back where we started, where this is the HTML, this is the Deluge. And I want to embed a report again. So we're going to embed this report. And I want to style this make it pretty. So if I look at it out of the box, it just looks like this, which is okay, but we can certainly make this prettier. To do that, we want to add a class name to this, which I've already done in here. So the class name is report formatted. And I'm going to style this. And let's end the style real quick. And let's say report formatted. I want the margin. So I want it to be centered, width to be 900. I'll give it some padding, put a radius on it, and then give it a background color of white. Now when I look at it, we can see, there we go. It looks pretty nice. But I want a background color to, like the background color of the page to be dark red. So I'm going to put in one more class here. So another div. And this is going to be class equals report container. Now we can do kind of a combo CSS where it's going to style this one and then it's going to style this one separately. So we're going to copy that same CSS class name, and I want the background color to be dark red and the padding to be 20 pixels. so that now it looks prettier. We have our background color, we have this in here, but let's say we also want to remove the header. I don't like to see the header up here. I just want to see the tasks. There's two ways to do that. You could either use a class name, and we could find that by clicking F12, find the element in here, and let's say it's this one here. I usually just come in and view header, display none. So now I know this is the class name I want to use. View header is, I basically want to mimic this style inside of the HTML. So let's just show you what that looks like. So view header is that class name, display none. Best practice is to make sure that this is only applying to the div you want it to apply for, which is my report formatted. So I'm going to make sure that this is only for that div. So basically we have view header only. I only want to not display the view header for this report. Now, whenever I refresh, I don't need to go back in here. You'll see it is gone. That's not the only way to do it. We could also use a style-based parameter. And style-based parameters are very helpful because there's a whole list of them you can access. And I'm going to include that article in the note in the article that I post with this video. But if I go into this URL here, style-based URLs for embedded forms and reports. This works for both forms and reports. We can see there's a bunch in here. So forms, and then we have report customization down here. There is a style-based parameter for showing or hiding the report header. So if I do ZC report header, if I add that as a parameter and say and equals false, that's going to basically do the same thing. So now when I refresh, it's missing as well. That's not the only thing you can do. You can also remove the footer. You can remove specific parts of the header. Maybe you just want to remove the filter, or you want to remove the summation row, the ability for people to edit the record. There are a bunch of parameters in there that are very helpful to further customize this report. And we're kind of stripping things away. And that's certainly an option. You can either go straight through the style-based parameters and use those options, but you can also use CSS to control that as well, as long as you know the class name to control. Another thing to know is when you embed an element into a page, these elements do not natively work on a mobile app out of the box, but there is another parameter you can use to make sure it does work for mobile view. And so if I were to open up this page on a mobile device, it actually wouldn't show it wouldn't show the report itself. It would essentially just show a link to the report. I can't really display that here on this demo, but if you are noticing an issue with embedded reports, the way to fix that is to add in another parameter within your embed div. And what it is called is ZC mobile view equals inline. ZC mobile view equals inline. This doesn't change anything for desktop view, but it does make this view available on a mobile device. Some other things, obviously, you have now the ability to put in any HTML elements on this page. Maybe you want to throw in a button where a button is going to open up a view. So button tags are very helpful. And let's say because I've gotten rid of the header, I want to still show a button up here to open up that task view. And so to do that, let's say we want to do a button above and open tasks, and then we're going to end the button. But to make this actionable, we want to make an A tag, href equals, and then we need to end the A. Now we have a little, probably not open task, but let's say add tasks. Now we have a button above where we can add a task. It's not actionable yet because I haven't put any parameters on it, or I haven't actually linked it to a page. But I can by simply just putting in a value to this href. And so let's say I want to open up the form. The form is, so I generally just go into the form itself, open that up into a page, and then this is the URL we want to open. I don't need to put in the full URL. I can just do the short code, which is #form sample, and then that will allow me to open up that form page. Let's say I want this to show up as a pop-up. I don't want it to just open up as a full page, but I want to display it at pop-up. There's another tag for that, which I have it saved in here, but it is load in dialog. So ZC load in is a parameter you can add to these URLs, and dialog means it's going to open up as a pop-up. When I refresh this page and I click on add task, now it is a pop-up on the page. We've covered a lot today. We've covered how to embed elements, both forms and reports, how to style those with CSS, how to include variables using Deluge and how to control it using Deluge as well. And then I also gave you a few tips on mobile view, using buttons, the pop-up view, and a few other items. So I hope this video was very helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe using that bell. We'll talk to you next time. Take care.